Yeah, I need that one. Sorry, can I borrow your yellow sheet? Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is noted that there will be a City Council in-camera closed session meeting at 3 p.m. At 3 p.m., City Council will be requested to consider approval of the following resolution. This will take place in a very brief open session immediately prior to entering into in-camera session. And the resolution is that City Council enter into in-camera session to consider the following items pursuant to Section 239 of the Municipal Act. Bullet 1, in-camera report number DCS 2019-06 regarding potential acquisition or disposition of land pursuant to Section 239(2)(c) of the Municipal Act. In-camera report number MHR 2019-02 regarding labor relations or employee negotiations pursuant to Section 239(2)(d) of the Municipal Act. And review of the regular in-camera minutes of January 14, 2019. So motion to go in camera moved by Councillor Millette, seconded by Councillor Sanderson. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Everyone, welcome to the January 28th meeting of Belleville City Council. It's my pleasure to call attendance and note that Councillors Kelly, Williams and Culhane are attending the Rural Ontario Municipalities Association conference and are not here today. Everyone else is here. I will ask the clerk to lead us in a moment of reflection.
Thank you. Grant that we may be worthy custodians of all that has been entrusted to us. Help us to be concerned only for what will promote good government. May we bring to our council chamber minds that think and hearts that feel, so that in our deliberations we may display imagination, wisdom, and courage, and the will to do our work for the good of all.
All right, thank you. If I can ask everyone to remain standing, please. Since our last council meeting, former City Councillor Joe Cox passed away. Mr. Cox served as a Belleville alderman from 1973 to 1982, and then again he served in 2000 to 2003 as a Belleville City Councillor. I ask us just to have a moment of silence, please, in his memory. Thank you. You may be seated. For those of you watching on television or on our streaming site, the agenda for today's meeting is included on the City of Belleville website, as well as all the reports that are part of the agenda. The third item on our agenda is disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Councillor McCaw.
Thank you. Just for clarity, during the last meeting, I declared a disclosure of pecuniary interest, conflict of interest for 2019-20, the signed bylaw. There was a little bit of confusion at the time of the reading of the bylaw, and I just want to clarify that I did not vote as it pertained to that particular bylaw, and I just wanted to make that clear for public record. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McCaw. The minutes will reflect that. That was entirely my fault. It was very clumsy dealing with the minutes. Councillor McCaw did, in fact, not. She did declare a conflict, was not participating in that portion of the meeting. And when we were giving the three readings to the bylaws, I stumbled a little bit, and we didn't separate it correctly. But the minutes will reflect that you did not vote on that portion of the bylaws. Any others? Seeing none, we'll move to number 4, public meetings. There are no public meetings scheduled for today. Number 5, reading and confirmation of the minutes of the special council meeting of January 9th, 2019, and the regular council meeting of January 14th, and the regular in-camera meeting minutes of January 14th, 2019. Moved by Councillor Sandison, seconded by Councillor Thompson. And again, I'll just note that the minutes will be corrected for the disclosures of pecuniary interest on the part of at least Councillor McCaw and myself. Anything else? All right, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Number 6, deputations. It's my pleasure to ask Ms. Holly Dewar to come forward. She's representing the Belleville Downtown Dock Fest and will make a deputation to Belleville City Council. The resolution, I'll do the resolution after she's finished. Welcome, Ms. Dewar.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to Council. My name is Holly Dewar, and I'm chair of the Belleville Downtown Dock Fest Organizing Committee, and I'm also the manager of the Belleville Public Library. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the upcoming film festival. I wanted to just hand out first the rack cards that are rack cards for this year, and also the programs for last year, just to so you can have a chance to see those and observe programs for last year. Thank you. So DocFest is set to roll March 1st to 3rd, and this is our 8th annual film festival.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you.
DocFest continued to enjoy very strong attendance in 2018, and our cumulative audience is now 5,581. And that's from our first year, we had 2,000 people attending, and this year, last year, 5,581. So we're really pleased with that growth in our numbers. The festival passes have sold out each year prior to the film festival, and last year we sold out again. The festival has truly been embraced by our community, and we're very grateful for that. And I did want to just point out that last year we had our highest box office revenue to date. The film festival brings community members who have common interests together, and it really brings people together around issues that are of importance to our community. We seek films that have a significance to our community. For example, this year we'll be showing a film called Painkiller Inside the Opioid Crisis, and there'll be a Q&A following with a specialist. Last year we had a very, very well-attended film on Lyme disease, which of course is something that community is aware of and interested in, something that people are concerned about. We also promote awareness of global issues, and we foster civic participation and actions that often lead to positive community change. For example, community gardens or bike lanes. We support and promote the art of filmmaking in the Quinte region, and there's been tremendous growth of filmmakers who have come to our area and the surrounding communities, Prince Edward County, Quinte West, and Belleville itself. So the DocFest Organizing Committee, we're a group of 9 volunteers, and we're made up of a very diverse group of professionals, and we've gained a lot of skills with films, booking films, selection of films over the years that we've been involved in presenting the festival. The committee has a proven track record of presenting a well-managed film festival. It runs very smoothly, and it's grown and developed, as I've said, over the past 8 years. This year, we're really pleased that we're moving forward to incorporate as a nonprofit organization. So that's a big step forward for us. And it also opens the door for us to some grants that are not available if you're not incorporated. And also, we won't be applying under the umbrella of another organization for Ontario Arts Council. We'll be able to apply as DocFest. Some of our locations, we have 5 screening locations in Belleville. They're landmark locations within the city. They're all close together, so it really makes it easy for our audience to move from one location to another to watch the films that they want to see. And we showcase 50 wonderful documentaries over that weekend. So just in terms of our funding, I wanted to just talk a little bit about that. So our grant funding, we received a Heritage Canada grant. This was the first time. This is for our 2019 festival, and it's $5,000. We were really so pleased to see that. It's unusual for first-time applicants to receive a grant of that amount. It's more generally $2,000 if you're successful. So we were thrilled and really feel that it's an endorsement at that level. We also received again for 2019 an Ontario Arts Council grant. This year our grant is $7,460. Last year our grant was $9,000, so it's down a little bit. And of course the Ontario Arts Council had a reduction in their overall budget this year of $7 million. So we're very happy that we did receive that Heritage grant, because of course that makes up some of that important funding for us. The City of Belleville, we were successful and very grateful for receiving in 2018 a City of Belleville grant of $2,500. DocFest also has for-profit sponsors, and 25% of DocFest revenue is generated through for-profit sponsorship. And further on our budget, 80%, a full 80% of our budget goes back into our local community. So that is a real investment in the community, and those dollars are spent in a variety of ways: graphic design, the venues. There are really a number of different, with the festival, our costs for our venues and so on. 20% of our budget is paid directly to filmmakers from around the world, and DocFest generates 50% of its revenue through festival ticket sales. And that is quite remarkable. We're very proud of that. Not a lot of arts organizations can say that. So 50% of our revenue through ticket sales. We also reach out to many community sponsors, and in the back page of your program from last year, you'll see a list of many of our sponsors, and many of them have been with us throughout our 8 years. We invite local agencies, social agencies, and not-for-profit organizations to sponsor a film that's related to the work that they're doing in the community. And then we invite representatives from those groups to come and introduce the film. Often they'll bring flyers about the kind of work they're doing in the community. So it's an opportunity for them to reach new members, people who would be interested in helping them or supporting their work. The suggested minimum film sponsorship is $150. The cost of our films are generally anywhere from $250 to $500, $600. If it's a big Empire Theatre film, we may be paying $1,000. It depends, and we watch those costs very closely and look for sponsorships to help us cover those. Just in terms of the community outreach, I did want to mention a couple of our films this year. So we have a film called Data Mining, and I think it's a very good example. It's about genealogy, which is of a lot of interest in our community around that subject. So we have the archivist, Amanda Hill, is going to be doing a Q&A following that screening. And that film is sponsored by the Community Archives at Belleville and Hastings County. So you can see that kind of tie-in that I'm talking about. We also have a film that's called Food Co-op, and that's sponsored by the Community Development Council. So again, where we're trying to make those local ties and connections. I wanted to just show you some of the organizations that we partner with. And there are many local organizations that are partners with DocFest, and we really try to leverage those partnerships so that we can do more with less. Those collaborations provide support for filmmakers and for artists. And a special component of the film festival is an art show, and that's happened every year since our first year. It's very well attended. We have a big opening, and that is really the beginning of DocFest, and on Monday, February 25th, it's at the Core Gallery. And the art show this year is called Metamorphosis, the art show, and I think it's going to be really spectacular this year. We also have many festival industry partners, and I've just got a list of some of those there. Again, this is very important for us because Doc Institute, LIFT, Liaison of Independent Filmmakers, are often able to partner with us to present special workshops, series of workshops for filmmakers in our community that help them to develop and to be sustainable. Just to speak a little bit further about filmmaker support, DocFest is committed to providing a platform for local, regional, Canadian, and international filmmakers. And last year we showed 62 films, and we had 17 that were local. I think that's really quite remarkable that we would have that kind of representation from the local community. And those were very well attended films and excellent films. We also had overall 59% Canadian content. And in 2018, we hosted more filmmaker Q&As, so more filmmakers came to Belleville and were there at their film screenings than ever before. Another feature of the festival last year that was new was that we had a filmmakers panel discussion. So we heard firsthand stories and insights from 3 female filmmakers about their craft, their career, and the quickly changing landscape for women in film. And we packed the Belleville Club with that event. So we're definitely hoping to do that again this year and have contacted some filmmakers to arrange for that. Another component of the festival is Doc for Schools. We feel it's important for young people to know about the festival. They're our future audience. And we presented 2 free school screenings last year. Those were at the Empire Theatre. We had attendance of 750. And DocFest this year is really honored to have Hot Docs partnering with us. That's quite, really it is a true honor. Docs for Schools program is well known, is well respected, and they're involved in our 2019 school screenings. Our school screening invitations just went out to schools, to teachers last week, and already we have 550 students signed up, the classes that are coming, and we've got a spectacular film for the students this year, Inventing Tomorrow. And it's about young people from around the world who come to the LA International Science Fair, and they're working on problems in their own communities around pollution. So it's a really uplifting film, and it's quite inspiring. We also have the Quinte relationship with partnership, long-standing with Quinte Ballet School, and we always have a special film for the ballet school, and the students of the school attend that film. It's always a dance film. Loyalist College, we've got a long-standing partnership again, and with the annual film and TV production student film competition. This is a project with the students, and teams of 4 students each, 12 teams of 4 students, work on short documentaries. And then we have a special screening. This year it'll be Thursday, February 21st, and it's at 6 p.m. It's really a great event, and they screen those films. We arrange for established filmmakers to be there to give live feedback to the students on their work, and the judges then select the top winning 4 films, and those are screened as part of DocFest. So it's quite a thrill for the Loyola students, and it's a thrill for us to show those. So, our upcoming festival, the 8th annual, we're pleased to say that our 2019, our early bird passes sold out. So now we're on to our regular price passes. We made more early bird passes that are $45 available this year. So we'll have fewer of the regular pass prices that will be for sale, and we're well on our way with that. We've also, our printed program has been proofed, and it'll be ready after the first week of February. And that's always exciting, and really people look forward to having that in their hands. Our film lineup has just gone up on our website as well, and we're going to be doing some social media announcements around that. And we're going to be bringing 50 amazing documentaries to Belleville. We have 2 Academy-nominated films this year, and we're very excited with that. There's Free Solo and Minding the Gap. They're shortlisted for the Academy Awards. We haven't had 2 before. And we're also showing Anthropocene, and that film is our festival finale film. It was winner of the biggest annual prize of Canadian cinema, $100,000. So that's the kind of films that are being produced in Canada, and that I think our area can also aspire to. DocFest is good for Belleville. Just put the slide. These are the locations where we're selling tickets, and where people can pick up their passes. They're also available online. Okay, and I just wanted to talk a little bit for one moment before I wrap up about DocFest and its contribution to Belleville. So the festival does contribute economic and social benefits to our community. We also contribute to the overall appeal and livability of the city. We know that people who retire here, we hear from people anecdotally, it's something that they're very pleased to see is available in Belleville. And we support and promote the arts in our community, and we're fiscally responsible and a well-managed volunteer-run festival with a strong reputation. We're part of, just in terms of our numbers, our evaluation forms 30 to 35% of our attendees travel to Belleville from outside of the city to attend the festival. Also, the festival attendees eat out, and they eat meals in local restaurants in Belleville 2 to 4 times. Most people are having 4 meals out during the festival, and we make a special effort. We carve out time on Saturday so that there's 2.5 hours for people to have a meal before they go to the Saturday screening. And we promote the restaurants as part of Doc Feast on our website and in our program. And we attract record crowds, and we engage over 50 volunteers during the festival weekend during March. And that's a time that's generally slow for business, so I think that's very important. Okay. I wanted to say in closing how much we appreciate the support of the City of Belleville. The Community Arts and Culture Grant is important to us, and that funding is significant for the festival. We're also very grateful to the support of our presenting partners and to the film sponsors. A heartfelt thanks to our wonderful community and audience for their support. Without an audience, there would be no DocFest. And I wanted to make a request that the City Council once again this year would declare February 25th to March 3rd as DocFest week. Thank you so much for your time, and if you've got any questions, I'm very happy to answer anything.
Right, excellent. Thank you, Ms. Dewar. And we're excited about this year's 8th edition. That's wonderful. Any questions, colleagues? Councillor Thompson.
Just a quick one. Thank you very much for coming. How many local filmmakers is there? You may have said it and I didn't hear it.
Well, so last year we had 17 films from local filmmakers that we featured, and we know that in other years not everybody is submitting each year. So we have estimated 25 local filmmakers who we're aware of. And there are also film studios. There's Vantage Point that's here in Belleville. There's also Windswept Studios. That's quite a well-known studio that's producing very top quality films. Michelle Hoser, who is renowned, she has over 50 films to her name. She has located in Prince Edward County. So there really is a coming together and a convergence of filmmakers and filmmaking in our area.
Good, thank you. And really enjoy going to it. I know there's a number of people got them as Christmas gifts for tickets, but also I want to commend you for offering, I don't know how many you offer, for low-income seniors and students, and I commend you for offering those to the community. So.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Anyone else? All right, Ms. Dewar, again, we really appreciate you and all your volunteers. This has grown to be a real not-to-miss activity in Belleville for a lot of our residents. They really look forward to it during a time of the year that's not always we don't have much to look forward to, other than spring down the road. So this is a great way to break up the winter. Wish you lots of success this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Frantic.
A resolution that the deputation by Holly Dewar, representing Belleville Downtown DocFest, regarding the upcoming 8th annual Belleville Downtown DocFest Film Festival, February 25th to March the 3rd, 2019, be received. Moved by Councillor McCaw, seconded by Councillor Millette. All in favour? It's carried. Correspondence. Item 7.1 is a letter from the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm looking for a resolution that the January 22nd, 2019 letter from the Belleville Chamber of Commerce regarding plans for city events as outlined in the 2016 to 2019 service agreement and requesting council support and assistance with the Chamber's portion of the Savor, the Chill and Stay a While event on February 23rd be approved and referred to staff. Moved by Councillor Akar, seconded by Councillor Sandison. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Item 8, Committee of the Whole. A motion to go into Committee of the Whole to hear and consider reports, passing of recommendations and resolutions with Councillor Carr in the chair. Moved by Councillor Sandison, seconded by Councillor McCaw. All in favor? It's carried.
(8A) reports. The agenda shall include under reports items that warrant individual attention from council. 8A1, 2018 tax adjustments, section 357.1 and 358.1 of the Municipal Act. Manager Revenue and Taxation's report number MRT-2019-04. The resolution reads that the adjustment of realty taxes under sections 357.1 and 358.1 of the Municipal Act for the 2018 taxation year be authorized in accordance with the list supplied by the Manager of Revenue and Taxation on January 28, 2019, in the total amount of $366,000 or $366,008.03 be approved. Moved by Councillor McCaw, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Any questions or comments? Councillor Sandison.
Excuse me, yes, through you, through the chair to Director of Finance. I noticed that the core budget for 2018 was set at $3.5 million, and to date we had written off against that provision $1.4. So when we look at these 49 applications totaling the 366, that brings us up to about 1.8 million. Just wondering what happens to the unused portion of the provision?
Mr. Cousins?
Through the chair, Councillor Sanderson, we will create an allowance like we did last year for uncollectible taxes and assessment appeals. You'll see a little further on in the agenda, there's a report on the 12% of our assessment is under appeal. And these things take a year or 2 or 3 to come to a decision. So we will create an allowance for future allowances for tax appeals.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. 8B is consent items. Council may adopt consent items by one motion, but prior to consideration of such motion, members may request that specific items be removed from consideration under such motion, and council shall consider such items individually. Councillor Millette, do you have anything?
I have a question on the report, year-end tax receivables and tax debt.
Which number is that? 8B? 4? Any others? Councillor Millette, do you have any others?
No, sir.
It's okay. Councillor Sanderson? Councillor Thompson?
8B3.
Councillor McCaw? Mayor Panchuk? So I have a resolution that the following agenda items be approved with the exception of 8B3 and 8B4. Councillor Sanderson, Councillor McCaw, any questions on those? All in favor? Motion is carried. So I'll go to 8B3. Mayor and members of council remuneration and benefits, Manager of Finance, Deputy Treasurer's report number DDF-2019-01. Resolution reads that the report number DDF-2019-01 dated January 28, 2019 regarding mayor and members of council remuneration and benefits be received. I'll get it on the floor. Moved by Mayor Panchuk, seconded by Councillor Thompson. I'll just go in order. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, I looked at this, and it was something that was addressed by a number of councils before this present term, and under this term it was brought forward. I have just one concern in explanation of it. It's similar for councils, an increase in annual salary, and the next line is the budget impact of increasing. If you look at the annual payout to salaries for councillors, there's no increase for the councillors. It's a neutral set off. So we're just looking at, because of the federal government taking away the benefit package, that certainly helps councillors in a lot of ways, and the mayor, that this is now just offsetting that increase, and it's a neutral, and I disagree with the word increase. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor McCaw.
Thank you. I'm just want to say that it's unfortunate that we're waiting for this term. It's something that should have been addressed by leadership of our last council. It's nice to see it coming back forward. And again, as Councillor Thompson says, this is not really an increase in, wages to council and mayor. It's basically neutral now since the legislation that was brought forward. So that's all I wanted to say. I was just, and that I will support it.
Okay, as it stands right now, the resolution is to be received. Yeah, Mayor Panchuk.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. I moved it, and I think Councillor Thompson seconded it?
Yes.
Yeah, and if he's in agreement, I actually have, I'd like to add on to it where the resolution says be received. I'd like to add on, and that management be directed to make a one-time adjustment to council remuneration and benefits to ensure that mayor and members of council remuneration and benefits are returned to the 2018 take-home rates in consideration of the impact of the federal government's repeal of the one-third non-taxable allowance. And if Councillor Thompson consents, then I see him nodding his head, so he's saying yes. I'd take that as a friendly amendment to the motion, and I'll just speak to the amended motion now. So I appreciate the report from Ms. Hines. If you recall, at the last meeting of council, I asked the director of finance some information about what the impact is. Many people may not have been aware that 1/3 of our salary for members of council was permitted by the federal government to be considered as non-taxable, and because that was repealed, the department had to make some changes in terms of structuring the pay. What the result is that by paying tax on that last 1/3, there is a net negative. There's a reduction in the take-home pay of members of council. And so the report that Ms. Hines has put together is an explanation, and I was based on my request of what would have to happen in order to make members of council whole on this item. You know, I know Councillor McCaw made the point, and she is correct. It's unfortunate this was not dealt with in 2018. A number of other jurisdictions did deal with this because they knew it, you know, Belleville did not. It's as I said at the last meeting, I believe it's part of the job of the mayor to look out for their city council, and that's why I asked for this report to be made here, and that's why I moved this motion. I would note that mayors in the municipalities of Quinte West and Prince Edward County, they had this dealt with before for this exact reason, but unfortunately it did not happen here in Belleville, so we're doing this adjustment now. You know, I think the report again explains almost everything that needs to be covered as to what it would take to make councillors pay whole. But I would point out that it's not perfect, because when Ms. Hines did this analysis, it's basically considering just the income that members of council will be making from their jobs with the City of Belleville. If they are employed in another occupation, if they have another job somewhere else, if they own a business, if they're receiving pension benefits, for example, that adds to this amount, and so it might result in a higher tax bracket. But in order for the city to do that proper analysis, you would have to get some information, which is confidential. It's not public. You know, what we make for being members of City Council should be public knowledge, but what we make in our other lives should not. But it also might require different pay rates for different councillors because of that difference. So that wasn't practical, and I think that while this will see the pay reduction work its way out, it is not exactly correct. Some of us will see a reduction in compensation from the last year, and some new members of council will be receiving less in take-home pay than members of the council before. But I do believe that most of our residents are fair and they understand this. Sure, there are some that will say that zero might be too much for members of City Council to be paid, but there are a few of those people that are there. This is a fair way to deal with making sure that we don't take a pay raise, but at the same time, not a single one of us campaigned on taking a pay cut this term, and that's why I've moved this motion, and I'll be voting in favor of it.
Any other questions or comments on the amendment, Councillor Sanderson?
Excuse me. Just a point of clarification. Point of clarification. So if we agree to this, it stays in place for the 4 years? There's no subsequent increase?
I'll refer that question over to the mayor.
Yeah, so it's my motion. This is a one-time adjustment, and so City Council has the same review structure as our administrative staff. So when administrative staff negotiate, when we negotiate with them for what their increase are, annual increases, we have our pay adjusted that way as well. What this is a one-time adjustment for the loss of the tax-free allowance, and then again, following the practice, which I believe has been in place since 2010. I'm just asking, it's been quite some time. It predates the previous council. It's an annual adjustment.
Okay, thank you. So if I understand it, net paid, council is going to receive in 2019 the same as they received in 2018.
I'll refer that question over to the Director of Finance.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So yes, I'll be supporting it.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, so we've got an amended motion, and everybody's familiar. So I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion's carried. Do I have to do one as amended? Okay, very good. Okay. 8B4 is a 2018 year-end tax receivables and tax sale activity. Manager Revenue and Taxation's report number MRT-2019-02. Resolution reads that the Manager of Revenue and Taxation's report number MRT-2019-02, 2018 year-end tax receivables and tax sale activity be received. Moved by Councillor Millette and Councillor Sanderson. Councillor Millette, you had a question.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Cousins, Director. Can you expand, please, Mr. Cousins, on your on the conclusion that Ms. Howard made that the tax receivables, quote, is important when measuring the financial stability and growth of the city and is an indicator of the willingness and ability of taxpayers to meet their property tax obligations? And how does this past year's report reflect that, quote, financial stability and growth of the city?
Mr. Cousins?
Through the chair to Councillor Millette, when Standard & Poor's and we also report this to the Ministry of Finance, our outstanding receivables, I can tell you that in Eastern Ontario, we are one of the lowest with respect to outstanding tax arrears, and it's a lot of hard work on behalf of the Finance Department to basically collect all these outstanding taxes.
I guess that's a tribute either to the doggedness of our staff or the willingness and the generosity of our taxpayers.
Councillor Thompson.
One question. The tax collection activity, 2017 we had 500. This year we own 243. Why the difference in cutting in half? Is there something we're doing different, or why would it be such a lower number from 2017?
Director Cousins.
To the chair, Councillor Thompson, it's the dogged effort of our Finance Department.
Very good. Any other questions? Councillor Sanderson.
Just a comment, not a question. I'd like to commend staff for achieving a 98% collection rate, and that's up 2% from last year, so that's pretty significant. And so job well done.
Very good. So I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion's carried. 8C is council information matters. Council may adopt consent items by one motion, but prior to consideration of such motion, members may request that specific items be removed from consideration under such motion, and council shall consider such items individually. I'll go the same way. Councillor Millette. Do you have anything under 8C?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Councillor Sanderson?
No.
Councillor Thompson?
8C2 and 8C2A and 8C2B.
Councillor McCaw?
No, thank you.
Mayor Panchuk?
8C2,
All three of them?
just AC2A, thank you.
Okay, so that the following agenda items be received, save and accept 8C2A, 8C2B. I get a motion for that. Councillor Sanderson. Councillor Millette, all in favor? Motion's carried. So we're on 8C2A, request in support of the following letters, resolutions. Request for the reestablishment of the multi-stakeholder working group regarding the municipal elections voter list. And I have Councillor Thompson, so I'll get you to move that, seconded by Mayor Panchuk. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, I would like to support this and move it forward, because we know with the election, especially the last election, and it's been that way with a number of elections, is getting a fair, or not maybe a fair, but an accurate remuneration of voters for municipal elections. And we know that, and we all heard, there was people didn't get ballot sheets for elections during the last election. And if this is one way of trying to make sure that we have a more accurate voters list, then I would ask us to support this and move it forward so that maybe in the future we can have that more accurate voters list for the next election.
Mayor Panchak.
Yeah, I would agree with Councillor Thompson. I would go a little bit further. You know, to say that the city of Belleville was extremely frustrated with the voters list that was generated by MPAC would be an understatement. I think the city clerk's office was very stressed out by the fact that that list was so inaccurate and so incomplete. And you know, we have been very clear about being dissatisfied with the performance of MPAC when it comes to taxation. Well, they do an even worse job when it comes to the voters list, if you can believe that. So, you know, clearly what's working now is not acceptable. You know, we would be better off to use the Elections Ontario voters list, which is much more accurate, particularly where it comes to people who are eligible to vote but don't own the property. So I think the resolution calls by the town of Shelburne calls for a working group to be set up, and that's great. But something has to happen. The number of people who we make it difficult in order for them to vote by the voters list being incomplete is unnecessary, and it's unfair to our residents. And so I certainly support the resolution of the town of Shelburne. I'm happy that we'll put our name to it as well, and I hope we can resolve this for the next election, because I think that's part of the reason why we have numbers at the municipal level that are lower in terms of turnout than other levels of government. So this is a good step.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Millette.
I concur. I think all of us heard on the campaign trail just how frustrated everyone was, and I know in speaking with the clerk's office that MPAC's version of things was simply a dog's breakfast, and anything we can do to address that is welcome indeed. Yes. Thank you.
Anyone else? All in favor? Motion's carried. So I have 8C 2B, request provincial government reconsider the proposed changes to the Planning Act included in Bill 66, which speaks to creation of the Open for Business Planning bylaw. And that was Councillor Thompson. Put it on the floor, and can I get a seconder? Councillor Millette. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, I'd like to, part of this, the reason I'm asking that this be moved forward to the different levels of government and pay attention to this, Bill 66. There's a Schedule 10 in the Bill 66 has been withdrawn, but there's still major concerns with the Bill 66 to do with our Planning Act. The future of the source water protection has done lots of work in the past over a number of years to create a safe drinking water, and this Bill 66 could have detrimental effect on a lot of the work that the source water protection has done over the years. And by this Bill 66 being here, even if they withdraw Bill Schedule 10 out of it, there's nothing saying that they're not going to replace it with something. So I would certainly encourage us to follow up and forward this motion, supporting this to the different levels of government, so that our planning department and the work of the source water protection doesn't go to total waste over the next number of years.
Other questions or comments? Councillor Millette.
Yes. I concur with some of Councillor Thompson's comments. I was just going to ask, through you, Mr. Chair, Mr. DeCola, the General Manager of Environmental Services, on the matter of source water protection and some of the concerns. Do you and your peers have any concerns about water quality? And I know we got a very detailed presentation not too long ago from you when we took our certification. Just simply, are there concerns among you and your peers of some of the provisions of Bill 66, Mr. DeCola?
Mr. DeCola.
Sorry, I don't have a microphone at the table. So I'll just lean in a little bit. Through the chair to Councillor Millette. A lot of work has been done to ensure that we have safe drinking water and that we have taken steps to protect very specifically potentially impacted zones, intake protection zones or wellhead protection areas. There is concern that if legislation is lightened or effectively dismissed, that we could put something that might have a detrimental effect within those areas, and then we'll have to deal with them with the Safe Drinking Water Act in case they caused any issue with drinking water quality.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? We'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. 8D, rise and report. Moved by somebody. Councillor Sandison, Councillor Thompson, all in favor? Motion is carried.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Excellent job. Item number 9 on our agenda, bylaws. First reading of bylaws, and I'll read out the numbers if that's satisfactory. Sorry, Councillor McCaw.
Thank you, through you. I'd just like to publicly state before...
Just, are you talking about a bylaw?
A bylaw.
So we can discuss and debate them on second reading. So
Okay.
I'll do the first reading of the bylaws, and then you can vote however you would like.
Okay.
On second reading, you can pull whichever bylaw you would like and speak directly to it, and then we can vote on that one separately if you'd like, and then on third reading. So first bylaw, and I'll go through the numbers. It's bylaw number 2019-23, 2019-24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. So first reading of these bylaws, moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Carr. All in favor? It's carried. Second reading of bylaws and now discussion. So we'll put it on the floor. Bylaw number 2019-23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. Let's put them on the floor, and then I'll pull any ones that we want to discuss. So moved by Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor McCaw. Councillor McCaw.
Thank you, through you. I'd just like to pull 2019-24,
Okay.
the bylaw to approve and authorize the purchase of lands by the Corporation of the City of Belleville from Pan Properties Limited.
Okay, can I just get a motion for the other ones, and then we'll come back.
Absolutely.
So we pulled 24.
Okay.
We'll deal with that separately. Anyone else have anything they want to pull and discuss? Councillor Millette?
I too want to just speak
24?
on 24.
Yeah,
Yep.
so we're going to pull that. So the other items, 23, 25, 26, 27, 28. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried. So 2019-24, a bylaw to approve and authorize the purchase of certain lands by the Corporation of the City of Belleville from Pan Properties Limited. Go ahead, Councillor McCaw. Well, let's get the motion, I guess, on the floor. So moved by Councillor McCaw, seconded by Councillor Millette. Councillor McCaw, go ahead.
Thank you. Just wanted to stand and publicly state that I am opposed to the purchase of these lands as specified in this bylaw, and I will not be supporting it.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Millette.
I am supporting this bylaw. This is the purchase of lands that are part of the downtown. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yes.
Rise.
These are part of the lands. Yeah, well, it's part of the downtown commons. Sorry, I was missing the name. This is an agreement to buy the former adult entertainment establishment that's been a bit of a blight for downtown for a number of years, both in terms of the character and the business, I think, as it pertains to our downtown core, and some of the clientele that frequent the place, and the manner of income. I'm not going to malign the whole adult entertainment industry, but I think this was a good deal. We've purchased this property, and we can now incorporate this in the downtown plan. It's going to work well along with our repurposing of the areas, the lands around City Hall. I think it's a win-win. Understanding, of course, that we're going to have to look at a number of factors, including what's under the the ground there. But if we're going to keep pavement over it or a hard top on it, it shouldn't be an issue. As I recall, some people may recall there was a service station and an automotive dealership back there long before I think anybody in this room was around, I hope. But I'm going to support this. I think it's a good move for downtown. I think it's a good move for the city. I'm not averse to the sale price on this property. I just think it's a good move all the way around.
All right, thank you. Anyone else on this item? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Third reading of bylaws. So again, bylaws number 2019-23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. Moved by Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor Sandison. All in favor? It's carried. New business. I have one item, colleagues. And what I'll do is I'll read it out, and if I can get a mover and a seconder. If you recall, at the last council meeting when we approved the population of our city committees, we received word about a person on the Committee of Adjustment. So we had sufficient additional applications that we have a recommendation, or I have a recommendation, and the motion would be that Glenn May Anderson be appointed to the Committee of Adjustment / Court of Revision / Property Standards Fence Viewers, and that Councillor Pat Culhane be appointed as an alternate to the Committee of Adjustment / Court of Revision / Property Standards / Fence Viewers, and that bylaw number 2019-30, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2019-02, being a bylaw to appoint members to boards, committees, and special committees, be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 28th day of January 2019. If I can get a mover for this, moved by Councillor Sandison, second by Councillor Millette. And just very, very quickly, other committees that have vacancies, the committees will be asked to determine how they wish to proceed. This committee is in a situation in which there is an even number of members, and as a result, appointing the additional community member puts them in a place where they can make decisions in the case of a tie, and then Councillor Culhane will be the alternate. Any discussion on this? I'll call the question. Sorry, do you want to discuss?
Yeah. On the name, may I speak?
Sure, stand up. Yeah, thank you.
Or can we call for an adjournment?
Let me just call for a brief recess, and Councillor Thompson and I can just have a quick word outside here. Cooperation. We have the motion on the floor. It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Any other new business? Councillor McCaw.
Thank you. Through you, I'll try to get through this. I just want to take a few minutes to discuss some concerns that were brought forward to me by various residents in the community. It was brought to my attention that during probably one of the coldest snaps of this year so far, there's been instances of those individuals still living on the streets with nowhere to go. Now, in the past and before this council, there was a plan brought forward to the public for the construction of the Grayson shelter. Now, I'm aware that the city has donated funds in the past, as when I was on council the past, through our grant committee, we had put forward some idea and some finances towards the Grayson. I also am aware that Hastings County Community and Human Services have also given grants to this organization, and probably private citizens and or other organizations. To date, I have seen little progress along these lines. Initially, after looking back through notes, I remember the spokesperson, Mr. Jenkins, announced that Grayson would be open for the fall of 2017. Obviously today, clearly that didn't happen. The shelter was delayed until the following spring was the next issue, we were told. And comments at that time made was that the shelter was tied up with red tape from the city. Now, quite frankly, I believe that that statement is inaccurate. And I personally feel that perhaps this group maybe did not have a great understanding of the process at the time. As I continued to go back through my notes, suggestions were made that demolition permits would be available in February of last year, with building permits for April of 2018. That didn't happen. In March of 2018, a donation from Hastings County was given to the Grace Inn. In May 2018, there was a statement by Mr. Jenkins at a Hastings County meeting to which I was in attendance that demolition would happen within a month, and that was last May of 2018. Did that happen? No one really knows for sure. In June of 18, the City of Belleville, through its grant committee at that time, did agree to a $10,000 grant to the Grace Inn Shelter. By July of 2018, the municipal election was in full swing, and the spokesperson, Jody Jenkins, was a candidate for mayor, assured the whole city that this was a private initiative and that things were getting done. I believe it's during that time we heard of a new timeline of opening before the winter of 2018. November rolls around 2018, and we hear that the facility may very well have partial occupancy by February of this year. Here we are. It's January the 28th. We're 3 days away from February 2019. And today, after attempts by you, Mayor Panchuk, to arrange a meeting with this group, I might add, unsuccessfully, have they finally decided to try to do something. We've all been idly standing by waiting for some relief for homelessness, but in all honesty, I really have grave concerns. I'm not sure how this council should proceed, but I am looking to you, Mayor Panchuk, and fellow council members to perhaps come up with some ideas that can mitigate the situation sooner rather than later.
Okay. Thank you. And I have been, I think the word deluge is an accurate one in terms of the amount of contact that I've received from individuals and organizations that are very concerned about the fact that while the City of Belleville provides some warming centers up until 11 p.m., that overnight there may be some gaps in the system. Now, I want to commend Hastings County and the Canadian Red Cross, who deal with people with after-hours care, and they do an excellent job. There are limits to the amount of time that they can help place people who are willing to receive assistance, and I stress that because sometimes there are individuals who are unwilling to receive assistance, and they are limited. And the common theme or the common question I get from people is that they felt that they were promised, there was a commitment made, that the Grace Inn Shelter would be open by the time the snow flew in the fall of 2018. That was the comments. And Councillor McCall, you'll recall that I certainly advocated for the city's contribution through our casino infrastructure or the social infrastructure funding, as well as other activities. I invited them to apply, and they said that they would be good. This week, last week, I should say, on Tuesday, I spoke with one of the individuals on their board, and was told that the latest difficulty they're having is they cannot find companies who wish to bid on the work for the renovation of the former Irish Hall, which is where they would be. The best estimate that was given to me at this time is that it would be at least 3 to 4 more months before that facility is open. So when I look back, I think I share your concerns. It's not generating a lot of confidence in me that how they're going to operate a facility if they have been so wrong so many times throughout the entire process of having to renovate it. As you know, the capital costs and the renovation process is just one part of having a facility and operating it. So I'm quite concerned, and I would recommend that we ask the members of the Hastings County Social Services Committee that we appoint to bring this item forward with that committee for a discussion. In the meantime, I will point out that we do have systems in place, and I would encourage anyone who needs assistance, particularly as the weather gets cold again, and it looks like it'll be cold for some time, that we do have Hastings County, and we have the Red Cross, and we have the After Hours Caroline. Last week on Tuesday, I was in touch with Mr. Jenkins, and he told me, and I'll quote from the text message, "I'm more than happy to meet with you and your board at your earliest convenience." And then I suggested a meeting last Wednesday, and I invited Councillor McCaw, who's on the Social Services Committee, to be in attendance. And then the reply back that I received for the Wednesday, was that meeting was not doable. Mr. Jenkins was away, and other board members were at work and not available to meet. So since then, I continue to work with Ms. Rivers from Hastings County. I work with our emergency services, the police, and whatnot. We're confident that everyone who needs assistance is getting it currently. But in the meantime, I am calling a meeting of some of the groups that deal with folks that we consider to be part of our vulnerable sector, as well as Ms. Rivers, to be able to go through this again. I am trying to secure a facility that we can open overnight. Councillor Thompson has been a big help in terms of making suggestions that we can have available for this winter to get us through. But I do believe that this recommendation to social services through our members should come back with an alternative way for our community to deal with folks that are homeless, particularly in the cold weather months, because I believe that the option we have been working with so far isn't coming together. Is that satisfactory, Councillor McCaw?
Yes, thank you. And being on that Community and Human Services, I'd be happy to take the message back.
So the clerk will, I think she'll just make a note that a letter will come to you. I think that we have 4 members in that committee, correct? So a letter will come to the 4 members of the committee asking you to bring this forward and then report back to City Council, if that's okay. Councillor Millette?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that I too have been hearing an awful lot of concerns. Unfortunately, I think part of the problem is we placed a lot of faith in this group initially, and with good reason. I mean, I have no doubt that they had fabulous intentions, but it's become painfully obvious that here we are in another brutal, dangerous cold snap, and we still have people that have nowhere to sleep. I have concerns going forward with this organization as to how they're going to staff it once they get it built. Unfortunately, their model for staffing this is a volunteer model. How you're going to staff a homeless shelter 365 days a year on volunteer help alone, anybody who's ever worked in the volunteer sector will tell you it ain't easy to get people to work a bingo, let alone work at a homeless shelter. And it's a specialized environment. You just can't have good-natured people who can manage to bake a dozen cookies look after a homeless shelter for a night. So I too have increasing concerns with this. It's unfortunate. Nobody wants to sound negative against somebody with good intentions, but unfortunately, you know, this is life or death when we have temperatures minus 22, minus 25.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, and I think you make a very good point, particularly when we're counting or relying on someone for action when we don't have it. Councillor Millette, are you okay with this referral to the members of the Social Service Committee?
I am, and I'm on that committee,
Okay,
and I
thank
will push it forward.
Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, and I'm going to, when the Grace Inn was brought up for a homeless shelter, I've been fortunate enough in the past to sit on social services on that committee that's had some dealings. The unfortunate part is, again, and I go back to, as Councillor Millette said about volunteer running a homeless shelter. It's, you know, the social services have homes that they are working with, especially the one that's going up on Sydney Street, where they're going to have vulnerable people in those buildings. And the only way they can make it work is that they have support staff from different agencies able to go into those places and give these people some support overnight, because they're only there for such a short period of time. And to not have the qualified staff there, and that was one of my concerns about giving these people money. We need the homeless shelter, but if you're going to do it on a permanent basis, I think they certainly need to be looking at permanent staff in there so that they can deal with these people with some of the issues they have, because these people have some real issues. Not only do they not have a place to live, they have some mental issues, homelessness issues, they could have been thrown out of their house. They need some help at that particular time. So that's always been a concern with Grace Inn. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. So, Council, the clerk has the direction. That memo will be forwarded to the committee. It will be brought forth with Hastings County with the report back to us. In the meantime, I'll convene a meeting of these groups so that we can look at a temporary measure to be able to deal with the rest of this cold winter season. But I would just remind everyone, particularly the media in attendance, that we do continue to have daytime warming centers in Belleville that are available until 11 p.m. And then after hours, Hastings County, as well as the Canadian Red Cross, provide service. So if anybody needs any assistance, they can contact them. Their telephone numbers are on the book. They're online. It's very easy to deal with it. They deal with this on a 24-hour basis. There are resources if necessary, and that we are working hard on it. So thank you, Councillor McCaw, for bringing this up. Anything else under new business? Seeing none, I'll move to notice of motions. Motions, number 11, there are none. A notice of motions. I have one notice of motion, my colleagues. I'm going to move that the city clerk be directed to prepare the necessary bylaw for presentation and consideration to the City Council to amend the city's procedural bylaw number 2007-194, being a bylaw to provide rules governing the calling, place, and proceedings of meetings of the City of Belleville Council and the conduct of its members. So I've spoken to many of you about the need to modernize our procedural bylaw. There'll be a number of administrative amendments, almost all of them administrative amendments in nature. There will be items, for example, to amend the start time of our council meetings from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. to encourage and allow greater public participation and engagement, to remove the restriction on electronic communication in an effort to modernize our meetings. Other amenities, amendments, I should say, are meant to ensure efficiency in the conduct of business and consistency with changes in provincial legislation related to open and transparent meetings. You will receive a copy of those amendments with your package for the next council meeting, so you can consider them, and then we'll be able to have this on the floor at the meeting. So that's notice of motion. Anyone else with notice of motion? Seeing none, announcements. I'll ask if there are any announcements. Councillor Millette.
Yes, Your Worship. I, along with yourself and Councillor Thompson and Sanderson, I think I can say we were honoured to be at CFP Trenton today to welcome home members of our community, the Quinte community, the men and women of 437 Squadron, the Huskies, who just completed a mission, a 4-year mission in Iraq, flying refueling missions above aboard the CC-150 Polaris, better known as the Airbus, that we see, the ubiquitous large gray Airbuses we see at the base. Mm-hmm. These men and women flew well over 1,500 sorties, refueling fighter aircraft over Iraq to eradicate Daesh in Iraq, to the point where the country is now stable enough that we can welcome these men and women home. It was a very proud moment to welcome them home, so just hats off to the Huskies of 437 Squadron.
Excellent, thank you. Anyone? Councillor Sanderson? No? On this side, Councillor Thompson?
Just one note, I want to thank everybody that partaked in the sleep out so others could sleep in. Councillor Millette's also on that Canadian Mental Health Board with me. We had a very successful fundraiser last Saturday night, even though it was -20. Remind me, I did not sleep out. I was there to support it, and neither did Mr. Millette. But we raised over $12,000. Our goal was $10,000. So the community is certainly behind. They know the situation with the homeless and the people in need in this community, and they come out in full force and raised $10,000. Special thank you to the young people that come out. Special thank you to Albert College, which always shows up, and the president of the Albert College also was out there with us. So thank you.
Well done. Thank you. Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Mayor Panchuk. So Councillor Sandus and I will be hosting our first installment of our Ward 2 Town Hall meetings. We have our first scheduled for Tuesday, March 26 at 6:30 p.m. at the Thurlow Community Centre on Harmony Road, and then Thursday, March 28th at 6:30 at Fire Station number 3 on Old Highway 2. And I recognize that we're only in the end of January. We are hoping for spring to come quickly, but I just want to make sure, we want to make sure that the public is aware of those meetings. Sure. Thank you.
And I'm sure you want them to know that the operating budget is beginning of April, so this is an excellent opportunity to provide some feedback. Excellent, good. I have anyone else? Okay. Sorry, Councillor Sanderson, go ahead.
I'd just like to mention that we had a bit of a hockey weekend all the way around. We celebrated the McFarlands, 60 years with us, and there was a really good presentation put on Friday, the renaming of the restaurant there to the McFarlands Pub, and it was great to see, for me, some of the players that actually played on the team. Red Berenson was one, and Wayne Brown and Davy Jones, so apologize for not naming the others, I just don't know who they were, but it was just great to see it. And at the other end of the spectrum, we had the young kids out at the ribbon cutting ceremony on Sunday morning. That was for the opening of the official opening of the Sylvain Routhier rink in Settlers Ridge. And that was an idea that started probably about 4 months ago. And so to see it come from idea to actually a rink where the kids are out there playing with their mums and dads was just, it was pretty spectacular actually. So, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Right, thank you. I have a couple of proclamations and some announcements as well to make. First, I would like to proclaim January 30th as Bell Let's Talk Day. I encourage all citizens of Belleville to join the talk in moving mental health forward in Canada, particularly if you can text that day, as Bell will be donating a significant amount of money towards mental health research. I'd also like to proclaim the week of February 1st to the 7th, 2019, as Eating Disorder Awareness Month. I would appreciate your assistance in assisting in spreading awareness of this important week. And I would like to proclaim the week of February 25th to March the 3rd as DocFest week within the city of Belleville. I hope everyone will take advantage of this very successful event in our community. We've had a number of events that I, along with you colleagues, have been able to attend in our community. Some of the ones that I just wanted to quickly mention were the Cops for Kids Fishing Derby a few weeks ago. A very cold morning, but it was a great turnout, and it was so heartwarming to see children ice fishing that day, and all the different groups that came together to make that possible, led of course by the Belleville Police Service and Constable Pat Como. The fact that we had the military on hand, we had the Belleville Fire Department on hand, and we had numerous other people was terrific, and I'd like to recognize that again this year, one of the colder years that we did it. Last week, I, along with Councillor Thompson, were president at the Hastings Park Bible Church 50th anniversary on Harder Drive, recognized the 50 years that congregation has been in Belleville, providing spiritual comfort and support, as well as being a great community partner in our community. And later that afternoon, my wife and I were able to attend the festive anniversary of the Sikh Guru the Sikh community here in Belleville. Many of us don't know, but we're looking at about 1,000 individuals now in Belleville who are of Sikh descent, and at Loyalist College they had their celebration, and it was a tremendous honor to welcome not just those that are living here in Belleville, but also those who have come here to go to school. And it was a very colorful and very hospitable afternoon. Last week, I took my official oath as a member of the Belleville Police Services Board, and that first meeting is coming up this week on Thursday. I remind everyone that Belleville Police Service Board meetings are open to the public. I, along with Councillor Thompson and Councillor McCaw and Councillor Culhane, were present for the change of command of the Honorary Colonel, where Bellevillian John Cairns was invested as the new Honorary Colonel, and it was great to see someone who is not just a good supporter of Belleville, but also a business owner here in Belleville receive that high honor. Last week, I, along with a number of councillors, were present when the Business Retention and Expansion Report on Construction and Development was released last week. I'd like to thank Manager Karen Post and all her staff for pulling this together and making that announcement. On Saturday, I was able to attend a friend of all of ours. Ms. Karen Dack did a poetry reading in support of her volunteer work to support mental health research in Belleville. And I presented her with a certificate, and I received a lovely letter and poem. It's really inspiring to see people who take their difficulties in life and turn them on their head. And not only is she able to deal with it better, but she's contributing back, and that's really inspiring. Yesterday, as Councillor Sanderson said, I was pleased with him and Councillor Carr to do the official grand opening of the Sylvain Rouche outdoor hockey rink in Thurlow Ward at Bird Park. And it was a great, it was a cool day, but it was sunny. We had a fantastic turnout. It was great to see so many kids out on the ice. And I just have so much admiration and respect for our employee that I am so proud of. She works with Director Fleur at the Recreation Department, but Sarah Rouche, well done for her. This morning, as Councillors Millette mentioned, we were able to celebrate the return of 437 Squadron, and very proud to represent Canadians in terms of welcoming home those men and women who serve not just our country, but keep everything that we feel is important and that we cherish here. It is my great pleasure now to announce that we have given the third and final reading this evening to authorize the purchase of the Front Street property that was formerly the Cabaret Exotic Dancing Club. Many former mayors and city councils recognize the blight that an adult entertainment facility had on our lovely waterfront and our downtown area. Almost every photo of our historic City Hall included this building, and over the years this has become a huge concern and embarrassment for us all. I would like to thank our realtor and city staff for their work in negotiating and completing this agreement. And as part of this agreement, we will transfer the license of this facility to a more appropriate property on Bell Boulevard, which is not near any residential neighborhoods, schools, or other such concerns. This is a big win for our community. For many years, the voices demanding a change to the exotic dancing use of this property became louder and louder. Many questioned the effectiveness of our downtown redevelopment, with this property still permitted in our historic district. With the purchase of the neighboring parking lot last term, it was a priority for the City Council to take action, and I thank City Councillors for their understanding in allowing this item to be dealt with at our first meeting of this term. It is our intention, when the purchase agreement is formally concluded, to demolish the existing building and use the lot for parking while we consider the Downtown Commons redevelopment project and how the best use of this site would be for our community. We are very excited about the opportunity to have an upgraded Market Square as part of our downtown community vision, and the properties we now own along the Riverfront District gives us new and amazing opportunities. And lastly, I want to offer my sincere thanks to Mr. Sid Spiegel and his family, who have owned this property for many years. The city was able to purchase this property for less than the asking price and far less than was demanded in years past. This was a deliberate decision on the part of the Spiegel family to sell this property to the city, and I consider this a civic contribution on their part for the future of our city. This is indeed an excellent start to a very happy new year for the city of Belleville. With that, I will ask for a confirmatory bylaw, that bylaw number 2019-29, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on January 28, 2019, be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 28th day of January 2019. Moved by Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor Millette. All in favor? Carried. Moved to adjourn, Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor McCaw. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.